This is the Awkward GM Corbin, and today I am covering the Sin Again Daeva supplement for Vampire the Requiem. Right now, Vampire the Requiem is only $2 on DriveThruRPG. Please click the link in the description below to pick it up. Sin Again Daeva has a lot of things, not just for Daeva players, but also for GMs as well. There are 8 new bloodlines, rules for throwing parties, there are new devotions and merits and masks and dirges. There are alternative clanbanes for Daeva, there are new ghoul families, a new covenant, there are new monsters, and new supernatural illnesses, all themed around Daeva vampires. There was so much I need to take a drink. With so much to cover, right now I'm just going to be covering the bloodlines. If you'd like to support the channel, please take a look at the links below for Warlock Sanctum games. They are the sponsor for this video, and their current games are in the description below. Here we have the Children of Judah. Not only do they feed on blood, but they also feed on regret and other negative emotions. Unlike normal Daevas, they replace the Majesty discipline with Auspex and Nightmare. Instead of the normal Daeva clanbane, they are addicted to feeding off of morose individuals. As a bloodline gift, they are able to see a breaking point in the past of someone they're feeding from. The Children of Judas really fit into this negative emotional space that Daeva don't usually explore. It's usually something that's more reserved for a Nosferatu or a Maquette. I can see the appeal of running a character that feeds off of negative emotions. This is one of the ones that got updated from 1st edition to 2nd edition, and I can see why some people really like these types of characters. Here we have the Dushan or the Dushane. I'm not quite sure because I'm very bad at pronunciation. These Daeva are often known as hedonists and really want to experience intense emotion. In addition to the normal Daeva disciplines, it also gets the resilience discipline. Similar to the bloodline bane of Children of Judas, they have to feed from people with strong negative or positive emotions. If they don't and feed from someone else, they'll experience the Daeva clan bane as if it were the second time they were feeding from. Their bloodline gift is Spice of Life, so if they're feeding from someone who's experiencing intense emotions, they will regain some willpower. This is another 1E update, and I really think these are the embodiment of being a masochist and a sadist all wrapped up in one. This bloodline isn't for me, but I definitely could see running it as an NPC. The Erzabet, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. These Daeva appear to be human most of the time. I asked lead developer Sam Young to help me better describe this bloodline, and he responded that they tend to be con artists who've amassed wealth by faking it till they make it. In addition to the normal Daeva disciplines, they also gain access to Auspex. For their bloodline bane, the Erzabet age just like mortals would, unless they experience a breaking point, in which case they will age about a year and a night. They don't die from old age, but their body still ages with them, so they may look like old decrepit mummies later in life. They can reverse this process by going into torpor, which will bring them back to the age they were when they were embraced. Their bloodline gift is almost human, which allows them to have Blush of Life on permanently, which maintains their human-like appearance. This also makes it so that their appearance doesn't reset when they go into day sleep. Additionally, they can spend Vitae, just like with Blush of Life, in order to suppress their predatory aura, to appear to heal just like humans, and also to get social benefits when talking to humans. I actually do have an Erzabet vampire in my group, but I haven't seen them use any of the bloodline gifts other than using the Auspex discipline. I definitely could see myself running an Erzabet character. I feel like they're more in tune with being human than the other vampires, but also I could see them being an outcast in vampire society because they look human. The Gulakhan are known as perfumers and are obsessed with scents. The disciplines for this bloodline are identical to Daeva, except they get access to blood sorcery known as Ortam. Their bloodline bane is if they're around a mortal for too long, they could become intoxicated by the mortal's scent and become obsessed with them. Their bloodline gift of Ortam allows them to take any vampire's blood and distill its discipline into a perfume that they can use for great effect. 3 specific effects I want to highlight are causing someone to have amnesia, causing people to become infatuated with the wearer of the perfume, or also causing vampires to go into frenzy if they smell the scent. I believe these are another 1E to 2E update, and I have to really say these guys feel like a completely different clan rather than a bloodline. Of all the bloodlines I've covered so far, this one really feels like it's its own theme, and if I were to run a character, this is probably like the second or third choice I'd have for bloodline if I ended up running a Daeva. The Moda Mortale Daevas are fashionable vampires that are actually experts in espionage. Instead of Celerity, they gain access to Protean and Obfuscate. Their bloodline bane is when they experience a setback, they suffer intense emotional distress. Their bloodline gift is Finishing School, which is a collection of merits such as fighting style and the taste merit, as well as a boon to the cacophony savvy merit, which allows them to have friends with kindred in other cities. This is an entirely new bloodline written for this book, and I have to say I really like their aesthetic. They take the term killer fashion and dial it up to 11, as they are considered assassins. I've always wanted to run a James Bond style character, and I have to say the Moda Mortale really fit that type of... The Nalapse Daeva are the gluttonous aristocrats. What Sam Young told me was he thought of them as medieval ghost stories where they use spooky reputations to craft narratives in order to feed better. An example of this might be a Vlad the Impaler type character that spreads rumors of their blood drinking in order to make their followers more fearful of them. In place of Celerity, they gain Nightmare and Resilience. Their bloodline bane is that they have a hard time stopping when they feed, to the point where they will vomit up excess blood that they cannot store. Their bloodline gift are the Lessons, a series of merits and devotions that they learn over time. The lessons make it harder to stake the Daeva or allow them to consume Vitae faster and be more famous. And it also allows them to have a large domain where residents ignore their scenes of grotesque violence. The Nalapse are a 1E to 2E update, and I have to say, they seem to me like what you would do if you would mix the Daeva with a Ventrue. They have this sort of regalness to them, this aristocratic heritage, which allows them to have these gigantic feeding grounds and herds that they keep around them. I can definitely see the Nalapse dropping their humanity hard when they feed, because they're more likely to kill their targets when they do so, because of their bloodline bane. Would I create a Nalapse player character? Probably not, but I definitely would run them as NPCs, especially villains who I want to show as the fat cat aristocrat that is trying to take over. The Star-Crossed are vampires with Vitae that can bestow amazing gifts to those that drink of it. Their bloodline bane is if their image is ever recorded or reflected, it shows their monstrous form. Star-Crossed have the blood gift of purification, where they can anoint a mortal with their blood so that for 1 week, by the end of each night, the mortal returns to a state they were in the day before, even through injury and death. This turns them into an entity known as a purity. The purity's blood turns into a gold-like substance called electrum, which can be harvested and used to heal people as well as reset a vampire's appearance back to when they were embraced, even if the scars are from fire and sunlight. This bloodline was created specifically for this book, and I definitely could see them pairing up well with the Ezrabet vampires that always have the Blush of Life on, as giving Electrum to the Ezrabet would cause them to de-age. I probably wouldn't run a Star-Crossed as a player character, but I definitely could see them as an NPC. I really, though, would like to have the Purity as an antagonist for my game, as I think the idea of having these immortal humans could fit really well with something like, say, Mummy or the Bloodbather Immortals. Lastly, we have what I affectionately call the pyramid scheme vampires, known as the Zhao. When I talked to the lead developer, he said another way to look at them is sort of the observer Daeva. They're serpents who spurn emotion in order to gain more control over their victims, as opposed to the more typical Daeva who revel in the emotion. Along with the normal Daeva disciplines, they also gain the nightmare discipline. Their bloodline bane is that they have a hard time identifying with human emotion, even more so than lower humanity vampires. Bloodline gift for the Zhao is the King John merit. The merit allows the Daeva to suck the emotions of their victims while feeding, as well as negate their bloodline bane at the higher level of King John for a night if they drain their victim into unconsciousness. The reason I call the Zhao the pyramid scheme vampires is because they literally have a pyramid scheme built into their background, so much so that there is a mystery cult merit that shows how much you've progressed within their cult from giving them money and donations in order to rise up in the ranks. There is a rebel faction of Zhao known as the Apostates who are against the traditional Zhao, but that's an entirely different story and much longer than what I originally planned for this video. I really hope I'm pronouncing Zhao right, or else I've been making a fool of myself for the last few minutes. Other than that, the Zhao are an update from 1E to 2E, and I have to say they have a lot more depth than I originally thought going into it. I really thought I would not want to make a character with them, but knowing about the apostates and that little conflict between the original Zhao and them makes them feel a lot more three-dimensional, and I think I would have a good time playing one as a character and definitely having them as possible like background NPCs. If you liked what you heard about Sinagan Daeva, please click the link below to take you to the Storyteller's Vault to pick up a copy. And that was Sinagan Daeva. Please let me know which of the bloodlines you liked in the comments below. Also, I'd like to thank Sam Young for helping me write the script for this, as well as elaborating on a few of the bloodlines that I was confused about. If you like what I did here, please tip me on Ko-fi. There's a link in the description where you can send money via PayPal to me. Also, if you want to check out any more videos, here are a few here and maybe here or somewhere around here. I don't know. I haven't put them up there yet. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one. For those of you who've been waiting a while for these videos to drop, I want to thank you so much. I recently moved and now I'm in this new place, and there's a cabinet on the floor here that is half built and assembled, but I really want to put this video out. It had been a long time coming, and now with Vampire the Requiem on sale for $2, as well as some other vampire supplements, you can, I really wanted to put this video out. Thank you so much. Have a good one.